So, what are your most important take home messages on what to do about food? What should people be eating in order to age well, I
Uh,
should say?
right. So the probably the most important thing is to avoid the ultra processed foods. Okay, so you want to eat real whole foods only, and so here we're talking about meat, fish, eggs, some dairy, some fruits and vegetables, perhaps. These things are all sold on the perimeters of the supermarket. Okay, the ultra processed foods are sold in the middle of the supermarket, and I do health coaching, and I have talked to people all over the world, and everyone tells me the same thing. In India, in South America, those things are always sold. The ultra processed foods are always sold in the middle of the supermarket because that's what they want you to buy. That's what's the most profitable, and the real whole foods that are on the perimeter of the supermarket are kind of an afterthought. They don't, necessarily want to direct you that way. So that's the most important thing. It is to eat real whole foods only. And then of course, you get into particulars in the way of eating. I'm definitely a big advocate of animal foods, of meat and eggs and dairy. Um, so these foods are the best sources of protein. And people are really lacking in protein. Even the official RDA for protein is underestimated, and there is solid scientific literature pointing to this. But even with this RDA that isn't good enough, most people aren't even meeting it in terms of protein, and that has serious consequences for health and for their body weight. Um, More protein is definitely better. So there's that. You want to eat more protein. You want to eat real whole foods. You want to eat more protein. You don't want to eat the ultra processed foods. Um, and if people did only those two things in terms of diet, and then if they did some solid exercise, most of our troubles would, in my view, vanish. Um, in terms of health, you know, type 2 diabetes is a huge problem in the United States and increasingly over the rest of the world. And yet there there is solid scientific research. This is not fringe at all by any means, that type 2 diabetes can be reversed. And most um, we're just told that it's a chronic progressive disease, that the only thing you can do is take drugs against it, and that it will get worse. And by stopping eating that triad of sugar and refined grains and vegetable oils, people can reverse it. But you see, this goes against the narrative, because plant-based foods are supposed to be so good for you. I mean, if people stop eating those, generally by necessity, they're going to be having to eat more meat and so on. So this idea, this fact that type 2 diabetes can be reversed is very much, well, like I say, it goes against the narrative. It's really not talked about that much. Um, when people go to a doctor with type 2 diabetes, it seems unlikely in most cases that they will be told this. I had a friend who, a couple of years ago, he was an older man, and he went to the doctor and um, got a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. And the doctor told him, well, I can offer you drugs, metformin or something, and or you could lose weight. Doctor told him that you could lose weight. And I didn't tell him how or anything like that. But my friend decided, well, okay, I'm going to lose weight because I don't want to take the drugs. So he went, stopped eating all the garbage food that he had been eating before, and started doing a heavily carnivore ketogenic diet, lost 50 pounds at the age of 72, and reversed his diabetes. And he would tell me all this stuff they're saying, this guy was definitely a guy that didn't have a whole lot of interest in health and fitness. That's how he got into type 2 diabetes in the first place. But after he had lost 50 pounds, he was telling me unprompted that, all the stuff they're telling us about diet and nutrition is bullshit. And so, with something so simple as that, as stop eating the ultra processed foods, here's this major health problem that affects millions of Americans, and like I say, many more people across the world, increasingly, that can be solved this way. But
It's astonishing.
it's just not politically correct to say so, really.